Quietly, like water shaping itself to new spaces, the days passed. Sia began noticing patterns, not in numbers or books, but in people. The flutter of a hand that meant unease, the hollow silence behind a laugh. She started to see what was left unspoken, and then she began to touch it, not physically, never that, just with thought. A girl crying in the bathroom. Shah entered, felt her grief raw and open, and without knowing why, wished it would pass. The girl wiped her face and whispered, I think I'll be okay, then steadied herself and walked out. A boy cheated on a test. Shah felt his guilt sharp and imagined him confessing. 2 hours later, tears and trembling hands. Each time Shah felt colder, not from control, but because she could. One evening in her quiet room, she stared at a moth dancing against the bulb. Her dinner sat untouched. Her mother worked late again. The house was thick with silence. She wondered, what if I stopped feeling so much, thinking so much? Let thoughts come and go like wind, but wind can lift or destroy. Her thoughts were bending things. She tested it gently, like dipping a toe into black water. In the corridor, she imagined the girl who always pushed past her, pausing to say sorry. She stopped mid-step, confused. In class, when a boy mocked another for stammering, Sia focused on his shaky hand. He noticed, went quiet, didn't speak again. And Shah said nothing, only thought. And things shifted. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just clearing the noise, easing the pain, gently, like folding wrinkles out of a page. But who gave me this? Why does it feel more powerful when I'm angry? Why does it hum in my body when I'm humiliated? Why does it bloom when I'm alone like now and the silence listens back? That night she dreamt again, not the jungle but mist, thick and silver, wrapping her like a lullaby. Animals stood still, watching, their eyes calm but vast, as if they knew her more than she knew herself. A panther stepped forward. Its mouth didn't move, but she heard, power belongs to the quietest minds. But beware, silence does not always mean peace. She awoke cold, the moth still dancing, casting a longer shadow. In the corridor, she passed Neil, the loudest tormentor, not cruel, just thoughtless, always laughing at her silence, tossing paper balls, calling her mute genius. As he passed, Sia wondered, what if he felt every shame he caused? For a moment, nothing changed. Then Neil slowed, his laughter faltered, and he looked at her, not with mockery, but with a flicker of awareness, like waking from a dream. He didn't say a word, but for a week he avoided her gaze, didn't laugh, didn't throw anything. She hadn't spoken. That night, Sia sat in darkness, curtains drawn, the street lamp's faint glow. Her notebook lay untouched. She whispered into the dark, I didn't hurt him. I didn't do anything. He only saw what he was, but her heart felt heavy, locked inside. What else could I make them feel? She hated the thought, hated the feeling, but it clung to her like sweat. Standing in the library queue, she saw a girl snickering at another's accent. Shah stared at her back. You hate yourself when you do this. Why don't you stop? The girl blinked, shoulders dropping, stepped out of line. Sorry, she murmured, more to herself. Shah checked out her book in silence. No pride, no glee, just quiet. Later, brushing her hair in front of a cracked mirror, she spoke aloud. I didn't want this. I didn't ask for it. I only wanted to belong. The girl in the mirror didn't reply, but looked less like Sia and more like someone watching from somewhere deeper. The storm came quietly, no thunder, just steady rain blurring rooftops and silencing birds. Sia waited at the gate, bag in hand, shoes soaked. Her mother had promised, I'll be there by 3 p.m. We'll go eat. Just us, a small promise, ordinary, but to Sia, golden, a lighthouse in her routine loneliness. 3 o'clock passed, then 4. Her phone battery died at 4:10. By 5, the school's guard handed her an umbrella, saying gently, Go home, beta. It's unsafe now. She walked back alone, cold, something inside her gone still. Not angry, not weeping, just hollow. Inside, the house was empty. On the counter, a note, had to rush to the factory. Emergency, sorry, back late, don't wait up. The paper was dry, she was not. Shah stared at it long, then something in her broke, not with a scream or tears, but sitting on the floor, palms on her knees, breathing, listening. For the first time, she stopped suppressing her thoughts. Why didn't you come? Why is work more important than me? Why am I invisible? And then, why do I still care? The room shifted, the air thickened, the clock seemed to stop. Deep inside, she felt it, a pulse of power, not anger, not grief, but something older, like a command. That night she didn't sleep. Something inside her unlocked. The days came with ordinary light, but Sia moved through them like a shadow learning to feel. She stopped ignoring the pull, the knowing. It whispered, it insisted. She touched thoughts without reaching, brushed secrets like wind through dry curtains. With each day, her stillness grew louder. In school, the atmosphere shifted. No fear, no respect, something older. Bullies who once hurled her name now spoke it softly, as if spellbound. Something on their skin they couldn't see, but felt, like lightning before the strike. That night, Sia walked home slower, her shadow curling at her feet like a loyal beast. A thrill, thin and sharp, stirred within her. Power isn't always loud, sometimes it's velvet. She began to walk differently, rooted, not faster or louder, but grounded, like she belonged to the earth, not the air, like she had learned her weight and chose not to shrink beneath it. She still spoke little, but when she looked at someone, they listened, not because she demanded, but because she didn't need to. At home, the change was subtle, unless you knew her. Her mother, Sudhamini, noticed only when Sia said, "I've already kept it warm. Eat while it's hot, not harsh, not cold, final." Her mother paused, speechless. In school, Sia no longer flinched when bumped. She no longer sat at the edge of benches. When asked to answer, she stood, spoke what she needed, then sat again without seeking approval. The others watched, curious, wary. Some, like Neil, nodded in apology. Shia no longer waited for the jungle volunteers' meetings. She sought the forest alone, before sunrise, after school, barefoot sometimes, listening for the call. They didn't ask. One senior, Vare, said softly, "The forest responds to her." "She's returned." Even animals grew bolder. Birds landed closer. A wild dog followed her trail, sat beside her. The wind no longer felt cruel, but the greatest change was within. She stopped asking why me and started asking what's next. Fear was gone, of people, silence, or the flickering power inside her. She had become a quiet force, one that doesn't seek attention because it knows the earth turns beneath it. It started with a girl named Amaya, new, quiet, bruised. She joined midterm sitting behind Shia, eyes down, uniform torn. No one noticed her except Shia. When Shia looked at Amaya, she saw static, noise, something not quite human under her skin. At first she avoided her, but the noise grew louder, flickering in her dreams, following her home. So she listened, and she heard a memory, not hers, but Amaya's. A man, a room, screams behind a door, pain, ongoing, unspoken. Shah knew what she had to do. One evening she followed Amaya, past the temple, down the slum road to her uncle's house. She didn't plan, only felt. The rage was cold, clear. Standing outside, she whispered words she knew. Without touching the handle, she made him scream inside. Minutes later, neighbors found him convulsing, eyes wide, mouth torn from silent shouts. Doctors called it seizure, madness. He never spoke again. Amaya's bruises stopped. She had done it, and part of her liked it. The fan creaked overhead, slicing silence. The air smelled of burned lentils and wet socks. Rain whispered secrets. Inside, two women, blood-bound, heart-separated, stood in a war they hadn't planned but had rehearsed for years. Saudamini dropped her bag, exhausted. "Shah, eat. Don't start again." Shah's plate was cold, her silence deeper. "I'm not hungry," she said, voice like glass. Saudamini rolled her eyes. "You never are." "Just sulking." "What now?" "What is every time?" Shah whispered. You come home late, barely look at me, and expect silence as gratitude. Saudamini turned sharp. Don't speak like that. You don't know what my day is. Shah stood, spine like iron. No, I don't. Because you never tell me. You only order me to clean or ask about homework. I'm not a flatmate, I'm your daughter, remember? Her mother stiffened. I'm doing my best, alone. You don't get to lecture me. Shia's voice lowered, deeper. Raising isn't just food or fees, it's seeing. And you've never seen me. Saudamini tried to speak but choked. Tears threatened. Shia pressed on. I needed you when I was scared, when I dreamed things I couldn't explain. I needed you when animals talked to me, when girls laughed at me, but you were always too busy. Work, tiredness, men, silence. The old scar reopened. You chose yourself every time. Now, I choose me. Silence stretched, long, searing. The house felt like a battlefield. Saudamini whispered, I didn't know. I didn't think. No, you didn't. Sia stepped back, eyes dry, voice steady. Don't say sorry tonight. First see me, really see me, because the girl who waited, she's gone. She grabbed her umbrella, didn't look back, and stepped into the storm, where shadows swayed like spirits trying to dance.